the Century Clubhouse Theater in New York City, this is The Talk Show, starring Eric Metaxas. I'm Alvin Sadar, along with Zach Mullen and the Clubhouse Band, inviting you to join Eric and his guest tonight, Hollywood icon George Hamilton, NBA legend John Salley, and from The Voice, singer Ian Flanagan. And now, say hello to a man who needs no introduction, but who wouldn't have minded having one right about now, but it's too late. It's Eric Metaxas!
People in here. What the heck is happening? You know, I gotta be honest tonight coming here, I'm a little bummed out. Yeah, I'm a little depressed because somebody actually broke into my car earlier today. They didn't steal anything, but they left a couple of tickets to the Knicks game, and I really don't, the Knicks, that's kind of insulting. The Knicks aren't doing so well, and I thought sometimes these criminals, they just want to get at you, you know, and it hurt. I'll be honest with you, it hurt. But speaking of sports, as you know, Tom Brady is back in the NFL after a brief retirement. Brady is now so old that he actually asked the team if he could work remotely from home. Yeah, that seems kind of like entitlement. I mean, come on, you're Tom Brady, but you can't throw a spiral from your den. That's just not appropriate. All right, now listen to this. North Korean residents say that they're sad. Now, you'd think, what, because they live in a totalitarian, oppressive place? Probably, but that's not why they said they're sad. Recently, they said they're sad because their dear leader, Kim Jong-un, looks too skinny. And when he was asked why he suddenly looks so thin, Kim said that the only thing he's been nuking lately are lean cuisines. Yeah, thank you. Some people, by the way, are still, you probably know these people, they're still super paranoid about COVID, like they're just freaked out. In fact, earlier today, this is nuts, Alexa told me I was standing too close. Yeah. This is when a machine is, it's just stupid. All right, now, according to the Guinness Book, the world's oldest active flight attendant is an 86-year-old woman. This is true. She's been on the job an amazing 65 years, or roughly half the time it takes to get your bags when flying JetBlue. Okay, in automobile news, Kia has issued a warning to drivers that their vehicles may catch fire. Now, that's surprising because usually when Kia drivers get burned, it's because someone shouts, "Hey, nice Kia." Right. Okay, finally, Sharon Stone said she thinks cancel culture is the stupidest thing she's ever seen. Obviously, she's never seen Basic Instinct 2. Hey everybody, say hello to my sidekick, Albin the Great. We've got some huge, amazing guests. From The Voice, singer Ian Flanagan will be here. Oh my gosh. All right. NBA icon John Salley is in the house, yes. How do we do that? And as soon as we come back, folks, Hollywood royalty, a man whose illustrious career has spanned 7 decades simultaneously. George Hamilton is here. Don't go away. ladies and gentlemen, my next guest has appeared in classic films like Where the Boys Are, Love at First Bite, and The Godfather Part 3. He's the only man on earth ever to portray Zorro, Hank Williams, and Evel Knievel. Not making it up. Please welcome a man who flew too close to the sun but only got a great tan, George Hamilton. I'm glad you didn't feel the pressure to get dressed up.
No, but you know, nobody wears suits anymore. You're the only guy I know. I think it's right,
Thank you.
though. Don't you like
Thank
suits?
you, George.
Tell the truth.
Thank you. Listen, your career literally spans 7 decades. What year did you officially begin your acting career?
I don't know. I was 57, I think it was. Yeah, 57. I went out to California, and I didn't want to be an actor. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. But I realized the only way to get to be an actor was to go to the studios and pretend that you didn't want to be one. And I promise you that's what I did. I found the first week I was in California, I saw a Rolls Royce on blocks that was built in 1939, huge thing. And I asked them what it was, and they said, well, it's been here for many years. I said, could I rent it? And they said, well, we never had any. I said, could I rent it? And they said, yes. I rented it for $100, which was a lot then. I had a doorman put an overcoat on, a doorman with his hat, drive it to MGM under the window of the casting director of MGM. And the agent took me there with a bunch of other guys. And they were saying, you know, we would like to put these guys under contract. The agent was saying, I said, I don't think so. I said, this is not, Mummy doesn't want me to do this. And they said, who is Mummy? I said, it was my mother. And I went to the window, and I made sure that the driver had his foot on the running board of the car. It was huge. And I kept saying, and he said, what's that? I said, that's Mummy's car, Rolls Royce. And they kept looking at the car. I said, geez, he must have money. I said, if it's all right with you, I'm going to have to leave. And they said, oh, hold on a minute. Now, it was a $500 a week deal if you got it. I promise you, because I left, I got $1,000 a week, and I didn't act. I didn't do anything. All I did is, my best acting was that Rolls Royce. True story. I swear to God it's true.
So deception is the key.
Yes.
Yes, a little
yes.
deception. But what's interesting to me, because this is a big part of your persona through the decades, as we say, you have always been aware of yourself and kind of in on the joke and presenting yourself as a clothes horse, as a movie star, as whatever. Where did that come from?
Well, it came from a combination of things. I mean, in 1940s, when movies were huge, that's all we had to do. We had no television, so we would go and watch movies. And you saw Clark Gable and all these incredible male actors that were incredible. And I thought, I want to be like those guys, you know, I want to be like them. So when I got to Hollywood, I just created that character. You know, it was all going out. We need a dose of that now, I think, you know, a dose of those
A little dignity?
Yeah, a little bit of that.
A little dignity, a little style.
My first picture that I can remember at MGM, I got to tell you, Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum was on the set, and I thought, I'm going to get a chance to work with him. And he didn't say anything. And Vincent Minnelli said, say the lines, Mitch. He says, I know the lines, I'm just too drunk to say them. Now, that was movies in those days. Those guys were like that. So I'm just having a little vodka.
I want to hear more about. Just don't get them mixed up because I've got a special vodka.
Oh yeah.
Okay, there have been so many pictures of you taken over the years. You're always immaculately dressed. It seems to me like this. You had to have been raised in a home where this was something. Wasn't your father a band leader?
Father was an orchestra leader in 1930s.
He worked with Spike Jones?
No, I don't think he worked with Spike Jones, but he had a dance team, and they used to be traveling around the country and doing all these things. And Dad had this incredible band when the war broke out, and then he took all the men out of his band. And so Dad didn't know what to do, and he went to New York and ended up running Elizabeth Arden. But Dad was an amazing guy, kind of very...
Your father ran Elizabeth Arden?
Yeah, he did.
Skincare?
Yeah. Right.
And you're getting a tan like this? You didn't...
Well, you know, I mean, maybe it's where I got the idea.
Yeah.
Because Dad was a kind of a two-fisted guy, you know? And he would take me to every day to lunch and tell me how guys should act, how they should be protective of women. Now, I don't see that much. You know, it's funny because I think that's what women really... I've spent my whole life trying to be protective of the woman that I'm in love with. Whatever, I've been in love a lot, but... But
you've only been married once.
Only been married one
All right,
time, but
okay.
I didn't play around. Of course, I wasn't married, so I didn't really have to play around, but
We'll have this conversation backstage.
Was it
Please,
something I
please
said?
continue. No. Now listen, all the people you dated the daughter of President Lyndon Baines Johnson. Can you tell us about that? Did you meet President Johnson?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. President Johnson was an amazing man. Talking about Mount Rushmore, that guy was... I went out with his daughter, and we became very good friends. And
You and his daughter, or you and him?
No. He and I didn't become good friends. He didn't really like the idea that I was going out with his daughter.
And why?
Well, I think the war was on, and George Hamilton was not in the Army.
Oh, this is obviously during early Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam. And so he didn't know what to do with me, and I didn't know what trouble I'd gotten in. The next thing I knew, he invited me to come down to the LBJ Ranch to go hunting with him.
I'm frightened for you.
Yes. So I got in the car with him, and it was a Lincoln Continental convertible. And I thought, why were we in a car? And he gave me a 30-06 hunting rifle and made me sit in the back seat with the top down, a Lincoln Continental convertible, 6 inches from the head of the President of the United States with a gun. And I thought, this is where it'll happen. I'll get shot, and they won't have to worry about me going to Vietnam. I was panicked. We're driving through the hills of Texas, Pedernales, in that area, and he said, there's one. Now, Linda Johnson was sitting next to me. I was sitting in the back seat, the president driving, and Secret Service guys in the next seat. He says, there's one, get him. And I said, where's what? And I look at, there's a deer. And I didn't know
I
what
thought
to
it was
do.
going to be a Republican. Yeah. He was... Back in those days, you could joke about politics, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. But the bottom line, I jump out of the car and shoot. And it didn't go down right away, and then it did.
The deer didn't go down right away.
The deer. And I was praying, and the deer dropped. And all of a sudden, Secret Service guys got out. They got the deer, and they were off with the deer. And I'm standing there thinking, thank God I got him, but I don't know if I should. And the president said to me, you're a regular Daniel Boone. I said, well, thank you, Mr. President. He said, but why'd you get out of the car? And I said, Mr. President, I have never shot out of a car in my life. He says, damn right, it's illegal, don't forget it.
Folks, when we come back, more with George Hamilton. You're not going anywhere. What's going on? I'm here with George Hamilton. Did I dream this, George?
No, but
Can I pinch you? Would you pinch me?
Let's
pinch each other.
Why can't we just do this like all the time?
We could.
Just you and I.
We could. We just need.
I'd run out of a few stories after 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. No. But that's the problem with you. And there's a few people that I want to talk to for hours.
Yeah.
And you're 3 of those people. And I just want you to know that. So we're gonna, we'll just do what we can here.
I'll cheer down.
And if they renew the show, we'll have you back.
Hey, I'd love to do that.
We're gonna have some fun.
Why can't I just be like your sidekick?
You could.
Just come in
You
here.
You could.
Huh?
You know what we pay that guy?
No, you'd stay on too, for God's sake.
Yeah, no, because
you
I know,
just bring
George,
a
you don't
bar.
need the money, and he's costing he's killing us. All right,
I'll just come by and say hello.
Let me just say that one of the reasons I want to talk to you about everything is you've worked with countless legends in the industry, going all the way back. You mentioned Cary Grant. The prop department has provided me with a goldfish bowl.
Oh, really?
It's not. I don't know if it was really used as a goldfish bowl, but we'll go with it. And there's some names in here, and I'm supposed to pull them out and ask you about these people. Let's see if I have the first one is, oh my goodness, James Caan just passed away.
Jimmy, a great friend. He gave me my star on Hollywood Boulevard.
What?
Yep, I got a picture of him doing it somewhere. He was a wonderful actor, great to be around. Tough guy. He knew all the guys.
He knew all the guys.
But he was
is
a
that
tough
good
guy.
thing?
But he was a wonderful, sensitive actor. Believe me, when you see a major mobster walk on a set, walk by you and kiss Jimmy Caan and then go back in the car, you know you got to be nice to Jimmy Caan.
Right.
Hey, forget about it.
I prefer to be nice to people voluntarily.
Well, I know, but I loved it. It gave a lot of authenticity.
Well, listen, his role as Sonny in The Godfather is just unbelievably legendary.
Yeah. The second was great. Third one came along, and they didn't know what to do. And they called me and said to me, Francis Coppola wants to talk to you about being in The Godfather. I said, oh, I know this is a joke. Somebody's put them up to this. I couldn't wait. I said, who did this? Is it Jimmy or was it Bobby Evans or one of these guys? He said, no. He was serious about it. I called and I said, what would you want? Is this a musical? Because I don't think you would have me in The Godfather. So I went over to see Francis Coppola. He said, no, I just want you to be in it. And I said, playing what? And he said, well, you're a good guy to hang out, and you always got good stories. I said, well, thank you. And he said, you give me good advice. He said, why wouldn't you be the consigliere? I said, that's a little different. A consigliere is like the advisor to the Godfather. He said, well, you could do that. I said, what am I going to do? He said, just stay near Jimmy and stay near Al Pacino and look at him very seriously, like you're interested in everything he says. I said, I would be. I said, but how do you want me to do? He said, like you're counting his hair. So I just had that look on all the time while I was in The Godfather.
That's what that was?
That's all I did.
That's
I went around. That's all I did.
Oh, my God. I thought... Liz
You know
Taylor.
what? She didn't like anyone to call her Liz. She hated that. Elizabeth. She loved to call her Elizabeth. She hated Liz. Elizabeth Taylor, I met her when I was very, very young, and she was young, and I thought the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. And she was with Mike Todd at the time, and I thought, if ever anything like that, little did I ever guess that she could be under my Christmas tree one day.
That she could be under your Christmas tree
Yeah,
one day?
yeah.
Are we speaking metaphorically?
Metaphorically.
You're just playing with my head. What are you talking about? Did you
Metaphorically.
did you for a season date the woman named Elizabeth?
I sure did.
You
A year
did.
and a half. A year and a half.
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
What went wrong?
I guess I talked too much, but she was so beautiful. God, she was beautiful. And one of the most wonderful, she believed that whatever you did, she was behind it. Didn't matter. She would have been Bonnie to Clyde. She would have done anything. She would go with you anywhere, do anything, stay up all night, drink with you, eat with you, laugh with you, and it made you feel so amazing. And I would have done anything for the woman.
That's the kind of a woman I'm looking for.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
I wish I'd known.
And I'm happy to say that my current wife of 25 years is that woman. She's here.
Oh.
That's right. Yeah. You see, now, if that weren't true, I wouldn't have cracked that joke. You
I
understand
know,
that?
and I wouldn't.
All right,
You noticed I didn't go any further.
We've got a. Oh.
Oh.
All right. The final name in the fishbowl is Colonel Tom Parker and Elvis. You worked with the Colonel and Elvis.
The Colonel was my best friend, and
Wait a minute.
Colonel Parker. Colonel Tom Parker
was your best friend.
Was my best friend. It happened when I went under contract to Metro. I met him one day, and I saw him, and he asked me what I was doing there, and he said he was smoking a big cigar, and he said the guy that smoked the last cigar with me became a big star. I don't know what he meant. I smoked a cigar with him, and he said, you ought to be able to get on a movie here. I said, well, that's what I'm here for. He immediately booked me into a thing. He got it working for me. I went to, I used to go with him every weekend to Vegas. He'd gamble. He lost $1 million one night. I was with him when he lost it. And I said, what are you going to do to make that work? He said, the price of poker's gone up. I said, what do you mean the price? He said, Elvis's show's gotten a lot more expensive. Now I realize that he was like 50%. He got 50% of Elvis, everything that Elvis got. But I had an amazing respect for the man because over the years I saw what he did, and I was married. Elvis flew us on his plane to the International.
Elvis flew you
my wife,
your wife.
Alana Stewart, now Stewart, Alana Collins then, got married there, and she and I lived happily ever after for about 4 years.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
But the Colonel was the most amazing man, and I was desperate to get some money, and I didn't know what to do. And he said, there's a fill week between Perry Como and Aretha Franklin at the International where Elvis was appearing. And I said, I'll take it. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea. I got the week, and Sammy Davis and Lola Falana came and did the show with me. I got up, and I thought, this is going to be an amazing evening because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't sing. And I got up, and I sang, and I did everything. And I heard a woman down front say, is he still on? They didn't even know that I was replacing Elvis Presley for 1 week. And that Colonel did that. Amazing. It was an amazing thing. But I can say that the Colonel was a Dutchman. He was there illegally. But I saw some of the things he did for Elvis, and I think the movie portrayed him a little too rough. He was a great friend.
Unbelievable. Listen, it's sickening.
Why?
That we have to end this this segment.
Well,
but we have other
got my
wonderful
number.
people. Would you at least stick around? Stick around when we bring our next guest is going to be John Salley, the legend.
I love John.
And so, first of all, thank you, George Hamilton.
Thank you,
and we'll be right back.
John Salley. John Salley.
Wow. All right, folks, my next guest is one of only 4 players in the history of the NBA to win a championship with 3 different franchises. He's also an actor, a comedian, a TV show host, a commentator, and an entrepreneur. Give it up for Brooklyn's own John Spider Salley. You get to... Wow. What is happening here? You know, I just realized when you came out, you are even taller than I am.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I just noticed that. It's very rare that happens to me. And on my own show, aren't you ashamed? How could you do that to me?
I am.
There's so much I want to talk to you about, and let's just start on a somber note. We recently lost the legend, Bill Russell.
Yeah, too bad.
Talk a little bit about what young people who might not know who he was. Did you ever meet him? What was that like?
I did. He was almost as cool as George Hamilton. Almost. Bill was great. He had 11 championships. Every time somebody talked about the greatest of all times, my comeback is Bill Russell had 11 championships. First black coach in the NBA, player coach, quit in his prime. I watched him on the Flip Wilson show. I know, saying my age, but
Flip Wilson.
yeah, I literally was like, I want to be as cool as Bill. He was left-handed, which I play left-handed, but I'm right-handed.
What?
Sounds crazy. So if you were to play against me, you would think I was left-handed.
How do you do that?
I watch you practice, and then I would do everything left until you thought you were going to play me left-handed. It's almost like fighting.
It's like boxing.
Exactly, exact way. But he was.
Sounds like my ex-wife.
Yeah. Okay. We got to get to it. Look, you've done so much. I mean, you're multi talented. You have four championship rings with 3 different teams. So the question is, what is it about a team that says we want John Salley? They think that you're going to bring them a championship.
That's what I've been telling them. When I was on the team with Kobe
that's what your
and Shaq,
agent told them.
When I was on the team with Kobe and Shaq, I was like, y'all need me sitting last on the bench just to tell you, young fella, don't do that because you get another foul, I got to come in the game. I'm about energy, and I believe the energy you bring around you, the way you think, if you can think negative, you can think positive. I believe all of us that were playing basketball have been doing it our whole lives, that we should have fun doing it. A lot of guys don't have fun. I have fun.
And why is that?
Because they told them it was a job, right? So once it's a job, you lose the fun of it. You just going to work every day. And I loved going to work. It's like, I like going to practice. And I used to say to those guys, this beats working. And I constantly said it all the time, this job beats working. And they, no, you got to get out here and work. I go, no, you got to get out here and play. So it's a difference.
I mean, there's some you can't say this, but there's humility in that attitude. You are grateful that you get to play basketball. Yeah. You get paid. You're grateful for that. Yes. And you don't lose sight of that.
No, I don't. I grew up in Brooklyn, right here in Canarsie, and I'm going to tell you what's up. And I used to go up I lived in a Bayview housing projects, and it's right on the Belt Parkway. And I would be up on the roof, and my mother came up one time, and she just heard me up there. And she's like, what you doing up here? Just making sure I don't get too close to the edge. And I said, man, she goes, on a clear day, you can see Coney Island from here. I said, on a clear day, you can see Beverly Hills. And she said, you mean Manhattan? I go, Ma, you gotta look past Manhattan. And so I always knew that I wanted to be in Hollywood. I knew I wanted to sit on the stage. I wanted to have fun with it. And when I got to Hollywood, I got to meet some cool people.
And you were hanging out with Eddie Murphy. He gets to choose who he hangs out with.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah. You must bring something positive to these relationships.
Yeah, I don't do negativity, man. And I have thank you. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, so knocking on the door and people saying, get away from here, and yelling at me, and then going to the next door was no problem. So I always knew there was always another step and another step and another step. And I always knew, and this is, some people may understand it, you're born and then you die. Everything in between is what you make of it.
Of all the teammates you've had, and you've had some of the best, Kobe, Michael, Isaiah, who did you learn from the most in that relationship, those relationships?
People are going to want me to say Michael. I learned that he is intense when you're on his team as he is when you're playing against him. I learned Kobe was, I used to say to Kobe, so you're going to be the next Michael Jordan? He goes, no, I'll be the first Kobe Bryant.
All right.
But who taught me is Isaiah, who is 6 foot and is doing 6'1", sorry, Isaiah, doing all the things that other guys are doing, but at a higher level. And then since that was my first place being, I'm gonna say, to this day, I still talk to Isaiah. So Isaiah taught me a lot.
This is very personal for me. I know you played basketball overseas.
Yes.
in a country I like to call my homeland, Greece. But it was not a great experience.
Well, it was, but this is the joy of it. I won my 3rd championship with the Bulls. My wife had just had my first child with her, and I had to get out of the house. No, and so I said I want to see Europe, and so I picked the team. I could have gone to Italy, I could have gone to Turkey and Greece. Paid the most money at that time. So I went to Greece, and I got to literally walk where the Greeks were. I got to learn how much I loved the NBA. But let me tell you, I love being in Greece. This is my coach. He didn't like Michael Jordan, and so I guess he thought I was an extension of Michael.
But just to be clear,
Right.
okay, point of pride, the coach who didn't like Michael Jordan and didn't treat you maybe perfectly was not Greek.
He was Croatian.
All right.
Right.
So to be very clear,
And I
not a Greek.
I played for Panathinaikos, and I was learning the language. And
You were learning the language?
I loved it so much, but now there's a guy in the NBA called the Greek Freak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think I said it properly.
You did not, but go ahead.
I did. And it's so, because he had a premiere of his new movie on the Disney lot, and I get there and I hear a whole bunch of Greek, and I'm not realizing when they call him the Greek Freak. I just thought it was the African guy that was an immigrant there.
Oh, no. He's more Greek than any Greek.
No question.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And his wife is Greek.
Yeah.
And when you see Greeks talking, it looks like they're arguing. They're
Yeah.
not. They're having a conversation.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, don't argue here. That's what I was thinking.
I have to ask you, you're a vegan.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do that? And do you think a vegan lifestyle would benefit Albin?
He looks good.
He looks good. See, I think if you grew up as a vegan, you never would have hit 6'11".
Well, I tell you this.
No. That will stunt your growth.
Hey.
Once you get famous, you're like, oh, I'm going to be a vegan now.
The genes are going to do what they're going to do.
What made you decide to do that?
Because the human body is designed to eat fruits, nuts, seeds, and legumes. In Genesis, it speaks of that. God gave Adam the right to name the animals, but he said, I give you these fruits that this is what you are to eat.
Can you have caffeine?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I'm not
I'm
Mormon.
good then. I'm good. Do you feel healthier and better once you went on the vegan lifestyle? I mean, I would assume so. Otherwise, you wouldn't.
No question. No body odor, no foot odor, no pimples. I'm 58. I'm 5 pounds lighter than I was 22 years ago when I was a Laker. I regulate everything. I don't have high blood pressure, no diabetes. I got rid of my high cholesterol, and I don't have any anger.
Whoa. Wow. Yeah. Wow. George, we might be thinking about getting onto this thing.
Actually, I'm a part vegan.
You're part vegan?
Yeah,
the part that doesn't eat meat of you is a vegan? All right. We got to go to a break. John Salley, an absolute delight. Thank you for being my guest. Unbelievable. God bless you. Folks, welcome back. My next guest has come a long way since singing at an open mic night in Nashville, Tennessee. His distinct sound not only landed him on The Voice, but won the heart of Blake Shelton, who collaborated with him on a chart-topping duet. Here to perform Last Name on It is Ian Flanigan.
Got it all. Sure enough, got enough to make a man fall. Baby, I feel from the first time that you pulled me in. From talking to kissing, there's only one thing that's missing. 'Cause you can't have a song without a melody. Can't have forever till we change one thing. Your name from the day I heard it, one word away from perfect. But girl, if I'm being honest, I'll put my last name on it. I'll put my last name on it. Well, there ain't no doubt, looking in your eyes like I am right now, thinking it's time to figure out how to lock you down for the rest of my days, only making one little change. 'Cause you can't have a song without a melody. Can't have forever till we change one thing. Your name from the day I heard it, one word away from perfect. Girl, let me know if you want it. I'll put my last name on it. I'll put my last name on it. Your love snuck up and knocked me off of my feet. That's why right now I'm down here on one knee. Can't have a song without a melody. Can't have forever till we change one thing. Your name from the day I heard it, one word away from perfect. Girl, let me know if you want it. Your name from the day I heard it, one word away from perfect. Girl, let me know if you want it. I put my last name on it. Gonna put a ring on it. Put my last name on it.
God bless you. Awesome. Look at this. Huh? All right. Thank you. That was amazing. That was amazing. I've got all kinds of questions for you, so don't go any place. We've got much more with Ian Flanigan right after this. We're back with recording artist Ian Flanigan. I mean, first of all, congratulations on everything. But I mean, this is the classic thing, you know, the overnight success. You were touring for 10 years. What happened that suddenly changed your life?
Yeah, well, first, thank you so much for having me. This is a beautiful place, man.
Thank you.
Great to be here. I started out in upstate New York in a town called Saugerties, New York. That's my hometown. And yeah, so I've been traveling since I was 17, really, and just trying to write the best music I can in the world and see as many places and meet as many people as I can. I was traveling for a few years on my own. About 7 years ago now, I met my fiance and her daughter, which became my stepdaughter. So at that time, I was traveling and kind of living out of a Honda Accord here and there, you know, wherever I could play across the country in Texas and North Carolina. And we started working together. But there was this terrible accident that happened where my fiance got in a car accident and she needed 2 spinal fusions. So it kind of put the whole life is short right in our face. And we were like, you know, if we're gonna do this, let's do it together. So we sold everything that we had and we had a big yard sale in our town, had a bunch of people come and support us. And we ended up buying this 24-foot Winnebago, which we named the Flanavan. And yeah, so we ended up deciding we're gonna just leave everything, go out and be a independent traveling artist and a family and raise a kid on the road. And I had a lot of success in Texas where, you know, there's so much music you can kind of pick up and make a good living. But I was coming off a really high of a tour where I got to open for Bob Schneider at Austin City Limits. And everything was good, we were living in the van, and it was to go to Nashville. We were living in a trailer park down about an hour south of Nashville there. And that was right when COVID hit. My tour went from being stacked, and then we lost about 8 months of tours and emails over the course of a week. And you know what happened to so many people. So it was just terrible. And my last show was actually an open mic in Nashville at the Mercy Lounge. And I wasn't even gonna go because we're sitting in this van, it's been raining for like days. And I got down to having $80 in the bank account, you know, and that doesn't feel good when you're raising a kid out of a van in the first place. So yeah, and my fiance Ayla, she's like, you know, you gotta get your butt in that car, we go to every gig, you know, she's like that. And it ended up being a scouting opportunity for the show The Voice. And honestly, it was like last dollar, last show, and there it was. They asked me right after the show, I had the whole family in the green room at the bar. And he goes, you know, man, we've been looking at your videos, we'd love it if you would, you know, come out to the show. And honestly, the next week I just started submitting and the process began.
Unbelievable.
I feel very lucky, man. Thank you, guys.
People don't realize, when you were on The Voice, you were on Team Blake, okay?
Yes.
Now, he was the only one who turned around. Were you thinking, this is over, this is it, this is not gonna happen for me?
Oh man, there wasn't even a day where my bags weren't completely packed in that show. You know, there's so many amazing
Even if you
people.
weren't living in a Winnebago.
Well, yeah, you gotta have a backpack
Yeah,
ready.
right.
But you know, I remember it's a really fast process. You're backstage, everybody's lined up. It's kind of like a big pressure situation. But you go out, and the lights are incredibly bright, and the sound is extremely loud. And I remember being like, maybe I could get through the first round. And I was singing, and I start coming to like the third quarter of the song. And I'm like, okay, this is getting very close to the end. And right, I think like 2 seconds before like the last line, Blake hits his thing. And I instantly knew that is the kind of stress he was gonna give me forever.
Yeah. Okay, Blake Shelton, he didn't just, you know, turn around. He ended up collaborating with you on the song Grow Up, which reached the top 5 in like practically every musical genre. How's that even possible?
Man, there's not a day in this life that I'm just not incredibly grateful and still trying to put the pieces together. The whole Voice event for me was just really educational and eye-opening, and Blake was a huge inspiration throughout the whole thing. So after that, I signed with Reviver Music Group, and David called me up, and I was actually living in McKinney State Falls Campground in Austin, Texas, and I got the call. And we were all living in the van at the time, and we started working together, put a few songs out, and I just sent them out to Blake just to be like, what do you think about this stuff? Because he's been a really good mentor and friend. And he hit us back, and he was like, hey man, I'd love to jump on this song. And it was as quick as that. He's that kind of humble guy, and he's really intentional with what he says. And we just had a day in Nashville where we could meet at Starstruck, and that's how it happened.
Starstruck?
Yeah, Starstruck Studios there.
Oh, so it's not a coffee place. Starstruck.
No, but it's, yeah,
Studios.
Starbucks, Starstruck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I got to tell you, first of all, thank you so much, Ian. Thank you, George Hamilton. Thank you to my guest, John Salley. Before we go out, I would love to hear one more song from Ian, if he would comply. Ian, would you do that?
Jenny's so warm out the parking lot, pretty, ought to put her in a country song. She can outshine the Mississippi moon, stay out twice as long. Between her and the stars, there's sure a lot going on around me. Billy's got the first 2 chords figured out to small town Saturday night. Little smoke, little bottle, little pass it around. Little hey, who's got the light? We're thicker than thieves, campfire kings just getting high. Under a southern sky tonight, there's a backseat fire burning hotter than the 4th of July. There's some hard-earned money about to get thrown down on a hard-earned Friday night. Oh, a whole lot of dreaming loving it, leaving it, and getting by under a southern sky.